battery on this thing is shagged. It was, I got up, let's see, yeah, I got up less than 2 hours ago, and it was complaining, saying, oh, I've got 14% left. So I turned off the screen and thought, right, I'll get up out of bed. I wasn't the quickest getting out of bed. It's like, and then it gave me the second warning saying it had gone down to 5%. And I thought, do you do this thing where you just, oh, I've got the last 15% left, I'll just like open up all the stops? Because it really seems to me, when it gets low down, it's probably just an inaccurate sensor because the battery is shagged. But it's one of those sealed units, so in order to get to it, you've got to lift the screen out. And, but that's a good point. I might go, there's a mobile repair shop, I might go there. Ask them saying, well, look, how much does this cost? Because, you know, if it's more than half the price of a new phone, I may as well just get a new phone. I mean, I like this phone. It does everything I need to do, but... Or I could just go, oh yeah, I could get a new phone for twice the price, or I could just have this one repaired. Who knows? What I do know is, you remember I was complaining saying, oh, I've been having just smouldering ember fires in my you know, not real fires, but just smouldering embers, not proper ones. Yeah, I had that last night. What's really annoying is I kept adding logs, and they were getting consumed, but it was just embers. There was no flames. It was really bloody annoying because this didn't get above 19 degrees, and I mean, ideally I like it at 23, but what happens is this gets hot, gets up to 28, I take my shirt off and just shut down the vents, speaking of which, let's open them up again. And that was the other thing, I thought, well, if you're breathing this poorly, if you are breathing this poorly, then surely you're going to get snuffed out if I close the vents all the way. It didn't get snuffed out. It was weird. So there was just enough air to keep it the combustion fully going, and also I've done that with that coal. Right, let's see if I can get a fire going from a little bit of cardboard and a couple bits of peel. Oh yeah, and then the neighbours are doing something with it, like a drill. That's not a drill. I think it's what is that? It's one of those tools. I don't know. Oh, look at this. It's not even sustaining a flame. Well, that's not a good sign, is it? They might put flame retardants on these papers. I don't know. Yeah. I was almost tempted to shut everything down. Hello, spider. What are you doing there? It's not a place for you. I was almost tempted. Oh no, it's burning. Everything's so bloody damp. Like my thumb. I watched a thing last night. It was about 15 minutes of this Stonemason. He was just talking away at stuff, and he was talking about the importance of, well, he's got a tungsten bit, and he keeps it sharp on a diamond whetstone. And the way he tests it for sharpness is he runs it along his thumbnail, and if it catches and doesn't slip, then he knows it's sharp enough, because he says he showed a blunt tool, and with the blunt tool it just it slid off of his nail. And he says, one of the reasons I can work fast, which I found surprising actually, because in this 15 minutes all he managed to do was just one curve. That is burning. Anyway, he wasn't really, he was working and chipping away, but he was talking as he was doing it. So I don't think he was entirely focused on his work. Now, he's saying one of the reasons he was able to work fast is because he keeps his tools sharp and he tests them for sharpness. And that way he's not going to have a chisel which slips out of his hand. But it was very interesting to see. He likes to teach. He finds that little girls are better than little boys. They don't have the same inhibitions and doubts about their confidence. And he gave up formal teaching because of the bureaucracy involved in it, but he does run workshops where it's a more informal attitude, and he likes them to just go ahead and do it as they see fit. He says more often than not they're very close to what needs to be done, and I wasn't particularly interested in his teaching technique. I just found it very it was nice to watch him work, and the way he was talking, talking with some authority about what he knew and his experiences. I mean, the other thing I like him saying is the way he learned is by making mistakes, and as a human you will make mistakes, and you should celebrate the mistakes. And this was another thing he said which I thought was very pertinent to me with music. In your mind's eye, you've made this beautiful thing and you want to make it real, be it, like in his case, carving some lettering in the stone, a piece of slate he was working on, or making a meal, or in my case, making some music. And you've got this brilliant thing in your mind, and then when your hands do it, it doesn't look like what it was in your mind. Or is often the case when I make music, it sounds nothing like what was in my mind. There are occasionally times that I have dreams about melodies, but they're far more complicated than anything I can play. But it doesn't matter, because what I end up playing is often better as a result. Mind you, it would help if I was playing every day, which I don't. My desk space is somewhat constrained, and I find it a bit of a hassle to move things about. I am lazy, I'll admit it. Yeah, and it was just, I thought, okay, that's very true to my own experience. This idea that your mind's eye is sees things in a way that's different to your own eyes. And he says that's a good thing, because as long as you've got that, you've got a desire to keep going, because you know that, well, I saw something better in my imagination. Maybe next time I'll have a go at it and it'll be better still. He says, what you need to watch out for is you've made something and then gone, yeah, it's good enough. In his opinion, that was calamity, because it's like, well, you've got nowhere to improve if you've done something and you're satisfied with it. And I thought, I'm possibly getting that wrong, because I do derive satisfaction from my work, even if it is sloppy. That's why I'm quite happy to share what I've done, because amongst the sloppiness, some of it sounds all right. And there's some people who are too scared to do anything, and so they end up doing nothing. And I do have an erstwhile friend like that who I'm very disappointed with, and I will let him know. I've probably mentioned this erstwhile friend before on one of these things, and it's one of those things that bothers me, you see, because it reflects poorly on myself. It's like, well, I took you in as a project, I wanted to build you up, and you've achieved nothing in the 10 years of any value. He's a shelf stacker at Tesco, by the way. That's all he's done. We went to the same college, we did the same biology lessons. He was working in my chemistry lab, and since then he's gone on to do nothing. I mean, being a shelf stacker, you don't need to go and study medical science to be a shelf stacker now, do you? But he doesn't drive. He doesn't draw. He used to draw. I thought he did quite nice drawings. He used to draw birds and squirrels and other bits of wildlife, and I thought he did very good drawings. Certainly much better than any drawings I could do. So he's done nothing. And by the way, he has no father because product of a divorced home. And I thought somebody ought to look after him and just give him those experiences which have been denied. And rather than showing any gratitude, he just seems to be jealous. I mean, he projects a lot of his insecurities on me, and he's jealous of what I've accomplished. And I was just like, well, look, my accomplishments I want to share with you. I think you're capable of doing the same thing. That's why I considered you a friend. And I suppose he just, rather than seeing it for what it is, he just grew resentful. And it does upset me, and it's why I'm still going on about this thing, even though it's been going on for a while. It upsets me because I see it as a failure of myself. You might say, it's not to do with you. You can lead an ass to water, but you can't make it drink. But at the same time I thought, yeah, but perhaps I could have done things in a different way. Perhaps there'd have been a combination of words or actions I could have done where you'd be like, oh yeah, I see what you're trying to do. Yeah, I'll have a go at that. Oh look, I had a go at it and I did something. And it could even have been like, well, I had a go and it wasn't very good. It's like, so? Do you see where you can improve? Yeah, I think I can improve this way and that way, but I won't be any good at it. But as long as you carry on, then it's alright. I mean, that's like I seriously started having a go at music and playing classical guitar 12 years ago now, if not longer. And I was really bad at the start. I mean, like proper bad. But I was good enough where I was like, you know what? I think I can hear what this song is. And it didn't help. Well, actually, I'd say it did help. I had a song, and I've never heard it played before. It's by Matteo Cacassi, and I think it's Opus number 50. It's got this great bit of tremolo picking. Well, I can't do tremolo picking. I still can't do tremolo picking. But I had a go. I just, the bit where it's like dun 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 dun. And I'm getting it completely wrong because it's in a minor scale. It doesn't sound anything like that. But imagine you've got your thumb plucking the thicker strings on the guitar, and you're supposed to have your upper three fingers plucking the melody string, which is just you're playing three notes at the same time in such rapid succession that it sounds like one note. A very famous example of tremolo picking is Memories of the Alhambra. And my cousin, who's more talented than he's so similar to me. He went to university and he did organic chemistry, and he plays guitar. So he studied chemistry at a higher degree than I did, and he plays guitar at a higher degree. He's basically like a more accomplished version of me. And I must admit, I am a bit jealous. The circumstances in life are a bit better, but it's not anything for me to lose sleep over. It's just, well, well done. In fact, actually, quite a lot of my family, they're much more talented musicians than I am. I'm just the bumbling idiot. But it doesn't matter because I have fun with it. And I've made compositions that don't exist. Oh, and that's it. Matteo Kakasi, right. I played this song. I really ought to find somebody who actually played it properly and listen to what they've done. Oh, I did once, and I just thought, wow, that's an incredibly short song. Because of course, when I played it, it was such difficulty that it's about 3 pages of sheet music, and you can play it in about 2.5 minutes if you're a proper classical guitarist. Well, for me, it takes 5 minutes to play. And it will probably take me 10 minutes to play, and I just mess it all up because it was actually one of the harder pieces to learn. Point being, I did learn to play it, and then I went on to play other things, and I was like, oh, that's not so hard, because after playing that, I found Johann Sebastian Bach. I thought, oh, this is easy, I can do it. No, Johann Sebastian Bach is not easy. It's actually quite difficult. It's quite pretty, though, and I do enjoy it. And then I remember the first time I played Greensleeves, I thought, oh, this is actually much more complicated than anything I've done before. It's harder than Matteo Kakasi's Opus 51 or Opus 54, whichever one I'm trying to think of. It's probably going to take me 6 months before I can play it. Well, within about 3 weeks, I was able to play a reasonable approximation. Like, I could play it and people go, you're trying to play Greensleeves, aren't you? And, it's slow and halting, but yeah, I was able to do it. I'm smiling now because I'm feeling proud of my accomplishments. And this is the thing, you see. I kind of wish you could listen to this. But maybe I'll have to just yeah, I'll take him on the car ride down to False Pretenses, and I'll use it as an opportunity to lecture him because he really enjoys lectures. Yeah, I've got an idea in my mind of how I'm going to do it, actually. Point being, I never said my accomplishments were great, but I have got accomplishments, and I do take some pride in them. But more than pride, I take joy in what I've done. I mean, I'm pretty sure you heard the smile in my voice when I was talking about playing Greensleeves, which, I like. Oh, and by the way, after Greensleeves, I found John Doland, and I can play Mistress Winter's Jump. Although, I'm laughing here because I was like, alright, I want to hear someone play Mistress Winter's Jump. And there's some YouTube video of a 6-year-old girl and she's playing it on violin. And she's so much better than I am. But, I don't care. It's just nice to see somebody, who's so young and so talented. And it's a joy. It really is a joy. So, I don't get the point in jealousy. I really don't. I think it's counterproductive because rather than going like, oh, this person plays better than me, isn't that great? I'll have a go at myself. Maybe I'll be as good. You just kind of get bitter and resentful. I mean, there's an example, right? I'm actually jealous of my previous accomplishments. Lately, I've been replaying a game called Crimson Land. And prior to the great reset of high scores, sometime I think in 2017, I was in the top 100 solo players. I was in the top 5 UK players. And I was in the top 10 co-op players. You can have a 4-player co-op in that game, but I only had one friend to play it. So 2 players, and we were in the top 10. So we were out competing the 4-player teams and the 3-player teams. So I was good at Crimson Land. I was bloody good. And even after the reset, I was still pretty reasonable with a score of 30 million, which has put me in 1200th place. So I'm not even in the top 1,000 anymore. But 30 million, I'd love to have a score of 30 million. The highest score I can get now is 500,000, if that. And I'm really bad at the game. And I was like, so I'm actually jealous because I thought to myself, I used to be better at this. I can't even do better than what I was before. Now, admittedly, a lot has happened since 2017, and I think unfortunately the insomnia and sleep deprivation has caused brain damage, and my reflexes aren't what they used to be. So, maybe I'll never be as good as what I once was. So I'm jealous of myself. Oh, that's a strange thought to me. But yeah, I like this Stonemason guy. I'm going to see if I can find his video, and I'll put it in the description. And I just found his philosophy of teaching to be closely aligned with my own philosophy, and that's why it reminded me of my own failings, which maybe I'm too harsh on myself. I've been told that before, but I do take pride in my work, even if it's sloppy work. Unfortunately, that's the problem. I mean, if it's just works of hand works of art, that's one thing. If it's works where you're trying to bring someone up and they get resentful and hate you and ridicule you for your sincerely held beliefs, then that's quite another thing. There really was a time when I thought I could help others, and then through that they'd be able to help me. Like, we'd become a mutual support network, but unfortunately I did not invest wisely, and my investments all turned bad, which from what I know from financial investments, that is the vast majority of humanity, and yet somehow we still manage to muddle through. So I'm not going to be like, oh God, I'm singularly like, I'm exceptionally bad at doing this. I'm not exceptionally bad. I'm probably bang average when it comes to making judgments. But I'm not going to pretend I'm not disappointed by this. I am. I really am. Oh, my hands are going to get so ashy. My fingers have been really dry to the point where it's painful. So I've been, hang on, not too much in, otherwise I'll snuff that little flame. What's the word I'm looking for? I've been using, what is this stuff? It's part linalool, which is the fat you get on wool, and it's part oats, and I have snuffed out. Bugger. That's a bit of cardboard. What's wrong with this fire? Why is it not going? I mean, it should be going, right? I mean, this. If I just put that log to one side, and let's try and get these. Trying to do this with one hand, using my thigh and my arm as a vice. Right, I know this is not the ideal way of doing it. Really, I should be cutting this into thin strips the same size as the wood. And let's try and get this. Oh, bugger. This is not doing well at all. Do you ever get the feeling sometimes the world is mocking you? I'm sure it's not the case, but I am somewhat pessimistic. And occasionally I do get a feeling that I'm being mocked. And I think, oh, what great joy is there from mocking me? I don't know. I don't understand. I'm sure that's not the case. That's my paranoia shining through. Let your paranoia shine through, because these are your true colours. Every time I take one of these videos, I get a nasty message from Google saying, your storage is almost full. And it's like, well, don't store these videos there. I'm going to upload them to YouTube where the storage is free. I used to store these clips in the storage, and that's where I found the old clips. And I turned on my PlayStation 3 the other day. I was like, wow, here's a clip of me making a file from 2013. So I'll put that on the old YouTubes as well. Not sure if it's the microphone or if it's the intervening years, but I'm convinced my voice in 2013 sounds somewhat higher pitched than my voice now. I'm sure that's just my imagination though. This cardboard, once it gets going, it does pull out a great bit of heat. Shame it doesn't last longer, but hey ho. The idea is being that you get your next bit of kindling lit from your tinder, and then from the kindling you light your logs. Well, the flue just warmed up, I heard that creak. Oh, rapid expansion there. And hey, we got some flames there. Got some flames on the wood. And there's the sound of the dampness being drawn out the tubules, the what is it, the xylems of the wood. The wood has vessels akin to blood vessels in an animal. I can't remember what the term is though. But there was moisture in those tubes, and we can hear them hissing out, or at least I can hear them hissing out. I don't know how much the microphone picks up. I notice microphones don't pick up background noises, so I will say, oh, sorry, the neighbours are being noisy, but then I review these videos and I can't hear anything, apart from the sound of my voice. Just giving my knuckle a scratch. I wonder what's making the crackling noise. Something's crackling away. Oh, there's a great bit of heat coming out from it now. Maybe I'll load up some coal with it later, get it really hot, and then use that to just burn the soot off of the front plate. We'll see how that works, because this I think the way this stove works is it does wash the hot air over the front plate as a self-cleaning feature. So yeah, we'll get that going in a bit. Just for the moment, let's get it going. I think we got ourselves a fire. Let's open up those vents all the way. Look at that. It's burning vigorously. I'm going to be confident and say that it's going to burn good today, because today was ash day, so it can breathe again. Anyway, toodle pip.